What's going on, everybody? It's Cody. Welcome back to the channel. 4-game Tuesday slate. I was surprised they actually included this early morning game on the slate. I figured they would just do a showdown for this game and then do a 3-game slate, but kind of happy. We get 4 games for the Queen of the Court final. I do have one seat. It is my birthday tomorrow, so hoping for a little bit of birthday luck as well. Should be a really, really fun slate. But let's look back at my lineup from yesterday. Ended up playing Maya Caldwell, come in at 10%, had her best game of the season, so obviously really happy about that. Kind of X'd out Nilissa Smith having a really terrible game. Got limited minutes. Just have to live with it. I loved the ownership when I saw that. I had Alana Smith all day long, but really didn't want to die on the Alana and Courtney Williams sword again. So ended up going Nilissa. Alana absolutely smashed. So I knew it was coming. Probably should have just stuck with her. Mentioned how high I was on Bree Jones. She absolutely crushed. In limited minutes, mind you, they blew out Phoenix. Asia just insane. And then I landed on Cheyenne Parker as last piece in, and she had her best game of the season. So I can't complain. I made some money, so happy about that. Let's look at the odds for these games, and then we'll go through team by team. I'm not going to bring up underdog for this slate. I just have to focus so much on Queen of the Court. I will have rankings in the Discord for the main slate. I'm not going to do anything on the early slate, but I will have rankings if you guys want to check those out in the Discord. Or if you want to play on underdog, use code CREPASS, deposit match up to $250. And they got a free square going right now for the home run derby tonight. So if you catch it early enough. But these 4 games, Phoenix at Washington. Phoenix are 4-point favorites, over under 167.5. Seattle at the Sparks. Seattle are 8.5-point favorites, over under 161.5. Actually, line just moved down to 8. Then obviously they don't ever have the Sun posted, but we did just get a bunch of news on the Liberty. But the Liberty are currently 4.5-point favorites. The total is 153.5. Woof. And then the late game tomorrow night, Chicago at Vegas. Vegas are 13.5-point favorites with an over-under of 170. So, let's kick back over here. So much news for this New York game. Obviously, we're going to get to it, but Stewie is not confirmed out yet. They still have her listed as out on here, but she is questionable. It is no longer her hamstring. She is questionable for rest. So, and a lot of other news on this New York side, but we'll talk about that later. On the Phoenix side, early morning slate, I do want to mention I will be live. I will have a live stream before lock tomorrow morning early. Get your coffee. I'm taking the day off work. It's my birthday, so I'm just gonna enjoy it. Also, trying to win $10,000 in the Queen of the Court contest. But on the Phoenix side, not a lot to really like here. Everyone's priced up. Clea Copper 10.8K, not a lot of interest. She's really score independent with everyone active. Natasha Cloud over 10K, I have no interest in, not even in tournaments at that price point. BG at 10K, I think she's fine. Like, she's playable. She's probably the one I like the most, either her or Diana Taurasi. Taurasi's the best price. But I feel more confident in BG's minutes. I think they're going to limit DT going into the break. She's going to play like 25 to 28, where BG come right back and played 31 minutes. So one of those two, probably the only ones I would have interest in. Obviously, you can play really any of their starters in large field tournaments. Sophie's overpriced. Rebecca Allen still only playing mid-20s minutes. Really hard to get to her. Not paying $6K for Herbert Harrigan, who only played like 9 minutes this last game. Obviously, her minutes are going to come cratering down, assuming everyone's playing. Natasha Mack, same thing. She's only going to play like 7 or 8 minutes. Celeste Taylor got a few minutes off the bench. 4,200 is a bit high for her. She's not a very good fantasy point per minute player, so not a lot I really like in this game whatsoever. I think most people are just going to exit out. Just because Phoenix is priced so high. Washington is priced up from when their players were out. I mean, you got Ariel Atkins, 8,900. She's my favorite play in Washington. She's actually my favorite play from this entire game. Back-to-back really, really good games. Always mention with Atkins, if she gets hot shooting the ball, she can have a huge game. The peripheral floor has not been very solid of late, though, so I will mention that. If the scoring is not there, the ceiling really lowers for her. But she's been taking a ton of shots, commanding a lot of usage, and if the first couple go in, she can post a 50-point game. I mean, she just showed her upside is 50. So at 8,900, I have some interest, and it's a fantastic matchup. So you can go there. Dolson, 8,400, zero interest. She's not going to play 30 minutes. She's going to play around 26 to 28. Not good enough to pay off that price tag consistently for me. Misha Hines-Allen going to play low 20s minutes. 8K for her practically is a bit too rich for my blood as well. Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, it's a good matchup at 7,400. Once again, seems a bit rich. Aaliyah Edwards only playing around 20 minutes. Really hard to pay over 7K for her. Van Loo, probably my second favorite play on this team. Minutes have really been up these past couple games. She's not shot the ball well of late, but she can pay this price tag off. She's a good passer and can get hot shooting the three ball. So don't mind her in large field tournaments. Not someone I'm clicking right away, but Ingsler, no interest. Melbourne, minutes are just really inconsistent. Can't really trust it. So hard to pay 5K for her. Dee Richards is probable, but her minutes are just 9 and 9 the past two games, 16 the game before that. She's just super low fantasy point per minute. So really can't recommend her unless you're just looking for like a uber cheap play that actually sees the floor. Then you can play her. But for the most part, I just don't have very much interest whatsoever in this early game. Moving on to the next game, the afternoon game. Seattle at Los Angeles. On the Seattle side, a lot to like here, and we have news. I want to mention this. This is the last game these teams play before the All-Star break, before the Olympic break, where most of them will get almost a full month off. A lot of these players that aren't fully healthy, there's not a lot of incentive for them to play. Now, some of them will push to play and probably will play. But like Skylar Diggins-Smith, she did not return in this last game. She did not return after the first half. I'm not expecting her to play because if her injury was severe enough for her to not be able to return on Sunday, this is a quick turnaround. They had to fly to Los Angeles, and I'm not expecting her to play. Like, they have no incentive to play her. They're already, like, heavily projected to win, 7.5-point favorites. So, if Skylar Diggins-Smith is out, Sammy Whitcomb becomes the best play on the slate, in my opinion. At 4,600, she should play mid to high 20s minutes. Then you have, like, NECA would take on more usage on offense. Ezzy would look even better at 9,900. Anytime she's under 10K, I have interest. It's a great matchup for her. Great matchup for NECA. It is in LA where she spent her entire career. She's going to have that extra motivation to really play well back in the house that she helped build. Joel Lloyd, 9,600, would take on more usage as if she needed it. She already has built in just huge usage. So would like all of these Seattle starters. Horston as well. Minutes ticked back up. She had her best game in a while last time out. Did shoot 8 of 11, so not really expecting her to do that again. But all of these Seattle starters would look good if Skylar Diggins-Smith is out. Would also mean that Victoria Vivians would look good. She's played 13, 18, and 13 minutes. These first two games were this game against the Aces. They did play her over Horston a little bit. But this game here against Minnesota, she got extended because it was a huge blowout. This game here, she played 13 real minutes. Not a very good fantasy point per minute player. She can have a good game here and there and get you there at 3,500. If Skylar Diggins-Smith is out, she is my favorite just pure punt play, sub 4K. But the main play would be Sammy Whitcomb at 4,600. She would play big minutes, can put the ball in the basket, and would run the point and be a lot of the facilitating. Would really like Whitcomb. The only downside to her is 90% of her shots are taken behind the three-point line. So it is really high variance playing a player like her. But if her shot's falling, at 4,600 you don't need much, and the minutes are just too valuable to pass up. On the Spark side, getting healthier. Talbot returned last game, only saw 13 minutes, played off the bench. That is very telling. We look up here, Dearica Hamby, obviously perfectly fine play at 11.1K, playing massive minutes, should play high 30s minutes. Good motor player. The peripheral stats haven't been the best of late compared to what they were at the start of the year, but that is a testament to Azura Stevens rejoining this team, healthy and playing well. But it's taken a load off of Hamby and making her more free to be an offensive first player, which is what she's needed. She's never been a great defender, so perfectly fine paying up for Hamby. She will be very low owned. Azura Stevens, what are we doing? She's 8,500. She played 38 minutes last time out against Dallas. Shot 6 of 10, put up 16 real life points, 12 peripheral stats, and 7 stocks. I mean, she's a great stock getter. She's going to get you the peripheral stats. She's a great rebounder, and she can put the ball in the basket. As of right now, she's the best point per dollar play, in my opinion, just with the minutes that she's going to get. I was expecting her to be around this like 28 to 30 with Talbot back, but with her playing 38 minutes, I'm not expecting her to get that much, but if they're going to play their front court huge minutes, obviously I'm going to have to give the edge to the one that's almost $3,000 cheaper. Ari McDonald, 8,300 is fine. Matchup isn't the best, but the minutes were better last time out. Rickea Jackson, always worry with her is if the shot's not falling early, they can go to Talbot now, and they can pull her. They pulled her even when Talbot was hurt, so that's the only worry with her, or the main concern. Peripheral stats haven't been the best. When she does get the peripheral stats, it's usually because she's having a good scoring game and the motivation is there. But if the scoring is not there, the peripheral stats are never there, and she has an extremely low floor. Talbot, no real interest at 6,800 at her current minutes projection. Burrell's minutes cratered, can't recommend her. Nurse saw an uptick in minutes, but is super scoring dependent. 7 fantasy points in 25 minutes. Not really someone I can recommend, especially with all this other news that we're waiting on. I would never play her over like Sammy Whitcomb if Skylar Diggins-Smith is out, or some of the New York value that we're going to talk about shortly. Clarendon, 4,500, not for me. She should play low teens minutes. I played her on FanDuel last time, and what a sin it was. 3.5 fantasy points, whatever. Just not for me. Cook, not getting enough run. Not really someone I can recommend either. Dangerfield is not with the team anymore, so do not play her. Moving on to the 2 late games. This is where the slate gets interesting. So there's a lot of ways you can attack this slate. This game is, the Phoenix-Washington game is going to be uber low owned. Like, nobody's going to play people out of this game. Then the Seattle and the Sparks game, if Skylar Diggins-Smith is out, it's going to entice people to play Seattle players. Then you've got like Azura Stevens on the Sparks. She'll be fairly popular at her price point. But if you go heavy on Seattle at this 2:30 time slot, and then New York comes in and drops a bombshell, like, let's say Stewie is out, who she's questionable for rest. She very well could miss. They've already announced Benaja Laney is out. They've already announced Kayla Thornton is questionable with a neck injury. And they've already announced Sabali is questionable with her back. It's more than likely just rest purposes. I mean, she's played 20 minutes in these 2 games since returning. But this team would be extremely short-handed. I would expect one of them has to play, because it would leave them one. Like, let's say Stewie plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Would leave them with 9. So technically, Stewie could sit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, technically Stewie could sit, Thornton could sit, and Sabali could sit, and they would have 8 players. If that happens, you want to absolutely load up on the New York Liberty. Play at least 2, because they will be extremely shorthanded. Their starters will play massive minutes. If Stewie is in, I do have interest in her because they are going to be thin on bigs. I would expect Sabali to probably be out, mostly for rest purposes. And I always worry about players getting added to the injury report late, and it's a neck. I'm not expecting Thornton to play. Now, they started Burke this last game and played Phoebich and Burke both played a little bit of the 4. So that's possible here. Connecticut plays Alyssa Thomas at the 4, so they're not a big team. But if Stewie's in, I have a lot of interest because it's really just her, John Quill, and like those are their only 2 real bigs. Then they have Phoebich and Burke who can play the small ball 4. So a lot to really like here for New York. Obviously, things could change. It could be all of them are in, and then New York's not that great of a team to target because this is the lowest total on the slate. So there's ways you can attack this game. You can attack it. We're hoping like the New York players are out, or you can attack Seattle if Skylar Diggins-Smith is out and hope that the New York players get rolled in. It's going to make for an exciting slate. These are the slates that I absolutely love. But I mentioned at the start of the video, on these teams, like with players that are not fully healthy, this is the last game before the break. There's not a lot of incentive to play these guys like in this game right before the break, like risk further injury. So not a lot you can really break down here. Obviously, if Stewie's out, John Quill and Sabrina look amazing at their price points. They would be 2 of the best spend-ups on the slate. Phoebich is only playable if Stewie is out, in my opinion, at her price point. With Laney out, she's going to start. She should play low 30s minutes. She's fine. I'll backtrack on that and say she's fine. 7,300 is rich, though. So not a must play, but she's a fine play with Laney already confirmed out. She would look a lot better if Stewie is out as well. Sloot, just can't trust her. Minutes are just not there. I mean, she's playing less and less minutes, and they're shorthanded. That should tell you everything you need to know about Courtney Vandersloot at this stage in her career. They just don't trust her. They were getting squashed, and they pulled her in the first half and went on a run and took the lead. So then she barely played after that. Just really, really hard to trust playing her. Burke would look great if all these players are out at her price point. Then they would have to dust off like Docic played quite a bit this last game. She had a good game. I mean, almost a fantasy point per minute, obviously. Like shooting 4 or 5, not expecting that again. But they would have to dust off Davis, and Sherrod would probably play as well. So a lot to like here, but it's all depending on news. On the Connecticut side, they're pretty healthy. I mean, Mo Jefferson is out. Nadur Fall's not going to play in this game. Their starters are going to play big minutes. They want to win this game. They've not played very well of late against the better teams. Alyssa Thomas, 10.3K for Alyssa Thomas. Let's scroll back here just a bit where she was 11.7 numerous times, 11.9, 11.8, $12,000. Wow, how the mighty have fallen. She is almost under 10K. I have some interest. She, I mean, you can call it what you want. Against New York last time out, 37 minutes, only took 4 shot attempts, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 points. Obviously, a lower floor when she's not shooting the ball. You need her to be pretty aggressive, but if she scores in double figures, she is going to absolutely obliterate that price point. DeWanna Bonner should play big minutes at 9,200 in a good matchup. It says not a great matchup, but it is a good matchup because Benaja Laney is out. So, like DeWanna Bonner, Bree Jones, 8,200, like her, she smashed in 25 minutes. Missed out on at least 5 extra minutes last time out. Carrington had a huge game. Ty Harris had a big game. Would like both of them. Matchup does look better with Laney out. Prefer Carrington to Harris, but at the price point, they're probably going to end up right around the same at point per dollar wise. Burton's minutes have took a really big dip of late, so really can't pay that price tag for. Tiffany Mitchell's just an awful fantasy point per minute player. I can't pay that price tag for. If I'm going to play any of the bench plays, it's going to be Bantam. And who wants to play someone fresh off of an 8 of 11 shooting 3 game where she played 23 minutes, her most minutes of the entire season, and pop. So no real interest in anyone on the bench. I'm not chasing Bantam, but all the starters are firmly in play. Then the late game, the late night hammer, Chicago at the Aces. Obviously, there is some stuff to like here on the Chicago side. The Aces are going to force teams to play extremely fast. They're not very good defensively, so there is a lot to like here on Chicago. Angel Reese, 11.4K, should, and I say should because Teaspoon has been really, really just throwing the minutes everywhere. And I don't know why of late, but minutes are really up on Reese, especially of late. I mean, she played the entire game here against Seattle, then 30, then 36. Would expect mid-30s minutes for her with the potential to play a little bit more if she does not get in foul trouble. Kennedy Carter, 9,500, randomly benched last time out. Only saw 16 minutes. Would expect her to tick back up around her low 30-minute mark. She had a good game against the Aces late last month. Marina Mabry has been playing really well of late. I know these two games here don't look the best on fantasy point-wise, but she's been playing a lot better. The peripherals have been really up of late, and she's been shooting the ball a lot more aggressive on the offensive end. So I do have some interest in Mabry. Wish she was a little bit cheaper, but definitely a fine tournament play. Camila Cardoso is another one I have interest in. My only worry is the minutes. 27, 20. They'll tick up. They'll tick down. They'll tick up. They'll tick down. You never know what to expect with her. And she's been playing well. So it's not like she's playing bad and getting benched. She can just get randomly benched. And it's really, really concerning. Lindsey Allen, 6,100 minutes have been super secure for her. You can take a shot on her if you think she's going to score a few baskets. That's where a lot of her upside comes. She's going to get you some peripheral stats, but not a lot else. Izzy Harrison, fresh off of playing 20, 14, and 28 minutes and having 3 really good games, she comes out and plays 9 and scores 2 fantasy points. Killing all the momentum that she had built, so really hard to trust her. Would expect her to play low to mid-teens minutes with the potential to play a little bit more, obviously, if there's foul trouble with Reese or Cardoso, or if she just comes in and plays well and they bench Cardoso. So there's always that possibility. Evans' minutes have been taken down. She's a trade candidate. I don't know how much you can really trust her to get anywhere. Oni Henwer, come in, absolutely shot the lights out, whatever. If you want to chase that, be my guest. She will DNP more times than not. DeShield's minutes have evaporated. Can't really trust her. And Bree Turner just does not play. On the Aces side, obviously, Asia Wilson at the top. She's over $13,000, but worth every dime of that salary. She's probably, like projection-wise, still the number one point per dollar play. Assuming Skylar Diggins-Smith was to play. Now, if Skylar Diggins-Smith is out, it's probably Sammy Whitcomb. But Asia Wilson, she should 4X this salary even at 13.3. And she's just been the most consistent player in the WNBA by a landslide. So, obviously, if you have the salary, you should play her. I start my lineup with her pretty much every slate she's on anymore. I lost money earlier this season trying to get cute and fade her. I'm done doing that. Jackie Young, sub 10K, always have interest in a player of her caliber. When she's sub 10K, always gets the peripheral stats. If the scoring's there, she can put up a big game. Kelsey Plum, peripherals have been better of late, and the scoring's improved. 8,700 is a fine price for her. Chelsea Gray, minutes are just not consistent. She played 34, then 31, then 20. Obviously, she did not have a good shooting game here. She's not played very well, but they're really just getting her legs ready for the Olympics. I figure she'll really turn up after the Olympic break, but not a lot of interest for me here on a 4-game slate. Alicia Clark, 6,300, seems overpriced. She's going to play right around 20 minutes, but that price is pretty steep. I would much rather just pay $1,000 less and play Tiffany Hayes. That's just me. Kia Stokes, minutes have evaporated. She's barely playing mid-teens minutes now. Obviously not a good fantasy point per minute player, not an offensive threat, so really hard to trust her. Martin and Gustafson, going to play 6 to 10 minutes off the bench. Really hard to trust either of them, though, with all the usage monsters up top. Colson and Bell will not play, but that's going to do it for me, guys. Really, really excited for this slate. Can't wait to see how this Queen of the Court final goes. Good luck to everybody. If you enjoy the content, leave a like on the channel. Really helps out the channel grow. Hit that subscribe button. You're going to find something to do during this Olympic break to keep producing content for everybody. But really thankful. Been an awesome first half of the WNBA season and hoping to take down this Queen of the Court final and end it with a bang. But good luck to everyone, and we'll see you in the live stream tomorrow.